Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'm your host this week, Hassan. Joining me, as always, Tristan.
Yeah, it's me.
And this week, we're continuing on Tristan's adventure to rewatch all of The Simpsons. Now, last time we got through seasons 1 and 2. That was end of November, and obviously,
we skipped the month.
Christmas, spending time with family,
Fuck that.
New Year's, all that. Tristan's time is going to be limited. So this episode, we're unfortunately only going to have time for him to have seen and speak to season 3.
Oh no, that's no, this is season 3 and 4.
What? Sorry, 3 and 4.
Oh yeah.
No, Trist, didn't you just hear what I said? Like,
I heard
the holidays, you
Yes.
had to spend time with your family and friends,
Yes.
loved ones, etc.
Yes.
New Year's out partying. What do you mean you had time for 3 and 4?
Oh, I didn't just have time for that. I've actually watched all the way up to the last quarter of season 8. So yeah.
Hey, Tristan.
Yeah. Hassan.
You remember how
Yes.
you have a girlfriend that you live with.
Yeah, I remember. I have a memory of that. Yes, I do.
When was the last time you saw her?
Saw who?
The girlfriend that you live with.
Oh, yeah, right. What year is it?
It's 2024.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, can you just do something real quick? Can you just
Yeah.
just go into your bedroom and in the closet,
Yes.
any of her stuff still there?
Oh, it definitely still is. Yes, yeah. I checked. I check every day just in case.
Okay, all right. If you're sure.
Yeah. No, she's still here. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, obviously, I can't say one way or the other. It just seems kind of unlikely.
Well, if The Simpsons has taught me anything, Hassan, it's that love can conquer all hurdles.
Let
Conquer
me
them.
tell you about
Conquer
Milhouse's
them.
father.
Oh, that's season. That's season 8. We'll get there.
Okay, great. Well,
Can I borrow a feeling is probably one of the worst songs ever written.
Yeah, definitely.
Borrow a feeling.
Have a
cup of love. Kirk's
I
heart
guess
is out of healing.
we should probably get into season 3 so that the destruction of your life wasn't for nothing.
Yeah, season 3 and 4. As I said, every time we do this, it is going to be between 2 seasons. That way, I'm only doing this for roughly 18 months.
18 months, sure. Yeah, that's how long it's going to take, Mr. I'm already at season 8.
Okay, well, it's going to take me less time to watch the whole thing, but do each episode is going to be 18 months because we're only going to do this once a month. I think that's fair because, I could just do this every time I do an episode. I'm thinking about it. That would get us caught up to where I'm at pretty quickly. Maybe. We'll see. I feel as if my energy on the rewatch side of things is going to peter off pretty quickly once I hit season 15 or so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But one thing I did not bring up, just as a bit of a housekeeping sort of thing, one thing I did not bring up last time is that I do have judgment criteria. I'll put them up somewhere over your face. I don't know. So I have 5 factors I consider each time I watch an episode, and this way, if you even out each factor gets 2 points per episode, you'll end up with a 10. And I'm ranking these out of 10. That said, sometimes each factor gives each episode like a bigger boost. So sometimes like, oh, one factor will be higher than the other one by like 3 or 4 points or whatever, because of the focus of the episode. But the factors are comedy, story, fun, family, and an X factor.
I'm sorry, family?
Family, yes. Because The Simpsons is a family show first and foremost.
All right, sure.
Yeah. And there's actually a lot of episodes about being good to your family and being there for each other. Especially starting off. The X Factor, just to kind of weigh in on that, because people might be like, what do you mean by X Factor? That could be anything from an amazing song. Maybe they did some crazy animation for this episode. Perhaps the cultural relevance of the episode overtakes everything else. Because there are some episodes where, like, maybe it's not a great episode, but the fact that we know this, and this about this one episode, and it has permeated our collective brain space, kind of makes it its own X factor, and therefore bumps the show up by a few points in that sense. So, even though I'm ranking these, based on what we, like, based on a fresh watch of each one, I do want to factor that in because it's kind of hard to do this in a vacuum and pretend as if I don't already know a lot of these episodes. Not necessarily possible. But I try and limit the X factor just down to, like, songs, good animation, some of the weird stuff. So, without further ado, Season 3. Now, Hassan, like last time, I want you to choose an episode from Season 3 that you want to talk about, as well as Season 4. I do have my highest rated episode and my lowest rated episode of each season as well. I will point out, going further than this episode of our show, there's going to be some overlap, and I'm going to have to actually choose an episode to talk about, or have you choose it, because there starts to be episodes that will either vie for, top position or vie for bottom position. This happened last time too, but regardless. And I do want to talk about certain little factors that come up per season as well. So, Season 3. Do you want the worst episode first or the best episode first?
Let's do worst.
Worst. Okay. So, this one was a bit of a hard grab for me. But worst episode ends up being, for Season 3, that is... Season 3, Episode 19, Dog of Death.
Really? The worst?
Yeah,
okay.
The worst one for me. So, it is... just to kind of give you the synopsis, basically, Santa's little helper is sick and dying, and he needs like a really big life-saving surgery, and the Simpsons had to kind of like pull together and get him the surgery, or he'll die. And they do that, and they realize that like this surgery is really expensive, so all of the stuff that they usually like, they have to kind of like drop entirely. Because they spent a few $1,000s on this surgery for Santa's little helper. And then once he gets the surgery and he's fine, the rest of the family kind of like hates on him because he cost them so much that Santa's little helper eventually runs away and goes off and becomes an attack dog for Mr. Burns. And that's kind of it.
I'm like, I don't think it's a all-time classic,
no.
top 10, anything like that. I am surprised that there's not a worse episode this season, though. Because that episode to me, you're right. It's a nothing episode, really.
It is.
I just would have thought there would be a just downright bad episode
Yeah, so not for season 3. That's the thing. It's like, so, we'll get there. But, so Dog of Death was vying for worst episode alongside Radio Bart and Lisa the Greek. Lisa the Greek scored a little bit higher in the percentages, basically, because, like, it's an episode about her and Homer kind of bonding over, like, betting on football, like, illegal gambling, and she's really good at it, and that's just kind of fun, so the fun factor went up a little bit. And Radio Bart just, it's got a Sting cameo, and it's whatever, you know.
I will say, looking at the episodes, back end of this season, definitely a lot weaker than the start of it.
Yes, it is.
Feels like starts strong and then gets kind of weaker as it goes along.
Yeah, that's something that kind of like happens throughout the first like 5-ish seasons. It's like boom, and then no.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just a symptom of hey, you know, when season ends, there's a gap till the next season, so a lot easier to work on rehashing things, improving, refining while you know you're waiting for that next season, and then once you're in the middle of making that next season, it's like, okay, there's now a definitive end time to all this. Can't spend as much time on some of this. So yeah, it makes sense.
Exactly.
Anything else to say about that episode, or just whatever?
It's just kind of whatever. Yeah, that's the worst part. So it scored a 5 out of 10. That's the lowest rating that this season gets is 5 out of 10.
I think that's fair though, because it's in that like a 5 out of 10 is sort of always the worst score in a way you can have.
Yes, because
you know, a 1 or a 2 out of 10, you go, well, I need to see this. That sounds so bad. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's 5. You just go.
It's between 3 and 6, where it's like, yeah, whatever. It's super mid. Who cares? And that's kind of the problem with Dog of Death. It's super mid. I don't really care enough about it. Yeah, that made it 5 out of 10. And I'll tell you the end here. So the best episode though, is the very first 10 out of 10 episode.
Okay.
Which is, looking at you have the list of episodes up?
Yep.
Can you guess which one it is? I want to hear what you think is probably the best episode.
I mean, to me, I feel like the only one I would maybe even come, because you said 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, yes, yeah. And this is this is the first 10 out of 10.
I'm gonna have to go with, and it's the one I would have said I want to talk about, but Like Father, Like Clown?
No, not at all, actually.
Okay, what is it then?
Like Father, Like Clown. Where did I even put that one? Hold on. Look at the right season, am I? Yes, I am.
It's the 6th episode.
There it is. Yeah, I get it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. It's solid. It's a really good. But we'll get there in a second. But the best episode is Homer at the Bat, 10 out of 10. This episode is so fucking good. It's okay. I think we all kind of know what episode this is when I say Homer at the Bat. It's the one with basically the guest voices of like a bunch of different baseball players. It's the Isotopes versus the rest of like the intermittent like soft like beer league that they have through Shelbyville and Springfield, and like Homer wants to be the big home run swinging kind of guy. He built his own bat from like a tree that got struck by lightning. But like Mr. Burns doesn't like the fact that like, you know, they're not really winning enough for him, and he makes a big bet with the Shelbyville power plant. And so he's like, well, you know, I can't just like hire baseball players to play in this team because that would go against the rules. But I could hire baseball players to work at the power plant, and therefore they're part of the team.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what? I'm realizing I have this episode
Yeah?
confused with another one in my brain where I was thinking about the one where I forget why it is, but Bart can like start hearing secret satellite things. And at one point, literally, they hit a baseball that knocks the satellite down, and so that's how they find out about it. It's like way later season, I think.
That's it.
No, okay, yes, I had it confused. I could see why this would be a 10 out of 10 one.
Yeah,
this is a solid episode.
Roger Clemens, Wade Boggs, Ken Griffey Jr. is in this one. Steve Sachs, Ozzie Smith, Jose Canseco, Don Mattingly, Daryl Strawberry, Mike Sosha, and Terry Cashman. It's a crazy cast, and like it's the first real let's do absurdism Simpsons episode where they just kind of go for it, and because it's like it's the stuff that happens to the baseball players that really makes this episode sing. Great storyline, a lot of fun. Like the
feels very authentic to not just like old school baseball, but because Mr. Burns is always played as an era of industry men that sort of no longer exists. Your oil and train barons of the late 1800s, early 1900s. It feels very appropriate for that era too, of like, well, yeah, of course this is how Mr. Burns thinks baseball goes. Course he's like, I remember when Rube Waddell was the best baseball player out there. I really do like it. It's a solid episode.
He does try and like hire on like already dead baseball players. So.
Also, the episode I was thinking from is season 11, Brothers Little Helper. Specifically, it has Mark McGuire. I remember that. And,
who also seen hit some dingers?
That dude definitely does steroids.
Yeah, he does. So the end song talking softball is a banger of a song. It's their first iteration into, hey, what if sometimes we do musical episodes? Even though this is just an end credits episode, this is like the whole thing about like Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw and like Steve Sachs's running with the law. It's just such a classic episode. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. And like I said, what really sells it is each baseball player running into a problem in the real world Springfield and then can't get to the baseball game because of that. Like, just like Wade Boggs, like he can't shave his head like down skin enough for Burns's like impression of his sideburns.
Yeah.
And it's just Daryl Strawberry's the last one, and he's like he's directly opposed to Homer. It's just
It's also it's a very fine line where it is the era of The Simpsons where that's obviously a funny, wacky thing to happen that obviously could not happen in real life.
No.
But it's not so far out there where it just becomes sort of a like, oh, well, we just need a weird situation to stick The Simpsons in. It feels like a natural, of course this could happen in Springfield and to The Simpsons.
Yeah, we're talking about this weird, wacky town. Yeah, this feels like a real true to what the show is trying to do. And like this is especially true. Season 3 is hard. It's a bit of a harder watch than the rest of the seasons that comp. It's a better watch than season 1 and 2 for sure. And case in point, the total score I gave season 3 is 7.22.
Okay.
Yeah. Which just reiterate, season 1 got 6.07, and then season 2 got a 6.63.
Yeah. I think for me, if I had to like boil it down of what makes this episode work versus later episodes seasons, I should say.
Yeah, sure.
Is in later seasons, if they were to sort of try and do this, instead it would be like, Homer ends up in part of the MLB, and he's literally in the World Series, and you're just like,
Yeah, exactly.
like you're taking it too far. Whereas this, it's
Well,
no, it's just Mr. Burns going, I want to win this, small town competition, so of course I'm going to bring in 9 MLB champion, caliber players.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's even with like season 2 has the episode where like Homer becomes like a world renowned mascot very briefly, and that's his MLB story, right? So season 3 is more like along the lines of like what was the movie? It was the movie about the girls softball league that Rosie O'Donnell was in, along with.
I have no idea what movie this is. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I've ever even heard of it.
Oh, okay, well.
I was going to make an Angels in the Outfield joke, but I think that actually came out later than this.
This also had Tom Hanks in it, so like, yeah.
Tom Hanks in a lot of movies. That doesn't mean anything.
It's where the line, girls don't cry, there's no crying in baseball, comes from.
I have certainly heard that line. Did not realize it's from a Rosie O'Donnell movie of all things.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, she's a player. She acts in it. It's not like her top
nope,
billing.
She's
movie.
She's the top billing. Entire movie revolves around her, as far as I'm concerned now.
All right. Well,
yeah, this is 1991, so I'm pretty sure Angels in the Outfield is after this.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. All right. So your episode is you wanted to talk
like
about
father, like clown. Yeah, because for me, this is again one of those things where it's obviously a little bit weird and wacky, but still grounded enough and still heart-touching moments that are all the elements that make The Simpsons one of the all-time great. Where, for anybody who doesn't know, this is the episode where Krusty reveals that he is of Jewish heritage, but that his rabbi father basically cut off contact with him, basically saying, no, you were destined to be a rabbi like me, and instead look at you.
Yeah, exactly. Where's the episode at? 1 second here. There it is. Yeah, so like this episode, like I said, it got a good solid 8. And it's kind of because it's a fun episode. It's got a lot of heart to it as well. Like the stuff between Rabbi Krustovsky and Krusty really just it's a great father-son back and forth. And you don't get a lot of that when it comes to like older fathers and sons in The Simpsons, because it's mostly about Bart and Homer when it comes to that stuff.
Or Homer and his father, which is
that's actually rarer than you think.
Is it? Okay.
There's like one episode I can think of, and I think it's in season 5, that really hits that like really goes for that kind of like that feel, and it's a good one. But you rarely get like I said, older men and their fathers in this show, which I feel as if they probably should have tackled that more, given Homer and Abe. But
yeah, I don't. It's a solid episode. There's not a whole lot you can say about it in terms of like individual moments that happen in the episode, because it's not one of those. It's more of a heart-to-heart kind of episode, so it's more about the emotions and just individual character writing, but it does a really good job at it.
Yeah, right down to like I love how it even like goes it does like the weird like little like stereotypical thing of like, oh, this rabbi, he's so wise and knowledgeable, so to impress him we have to give him like all this like wisdom from the like Hebrew texts and that kind of stuff, as from also like Yiddish,
the Torah,
thank you, as well as the Torah, and like Yiddish philosophers and all this stuff. But then it's like an episode of like not an episode, an article from from Judah the Pious. No,
I'm not
what's
sure.
the thing? No, Yes I Can by Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh,
yeah,
right. Yes.
yeah. It's yeah. Did that great man say? And I quote: "The Jews are a swinging bunch of people. I mean, I've heard of persecution, but what they went through was ridiculous. But the great thing is, after thousands of years of waiting and holding on and fighting, they finally made it." End quote. Oh, I never heard of that plight of my people phrase so eloquently. Who said that? Rabbi Hillel? No. Was it Judah the Pious? No. Maimonides? No. Oh, I got it. The Dead Sea Scrolls? No, I'm afraid not, Rabbi. It's from Yes I Can by Sammy Davis Jr. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a killer joke. That's a killer joke. Like, I just love that scene where it hits that, like, that very stereotypical rabbi, but, like, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess, like, Jewish entertainers are a big deal and all this stuff. Yeah, yeah. Hits the right notes. Yeah. I think that's a good choice for that for an episode to talk about. I do want to talk about one more just before we go, because season 3 has the only banned episode.
Oh boy!
Across all space and time, there are multiple banned episodes of the Simpsons. If you look up banned episodes of the Simpsons, there are plenty of them that get banned in different countries and that sort of stuff. And while those bans, I'm sure, are valid, there's one that's really weird. It's in, like, the Czech Republic, and I don't know, like, nobody knows why they banned it, but they banned an episode.
I think, you know what? I think every nation should find a really popular show and just ban
just randomly
one episode, but, like,
I
completely odd and doesn't make sense. Like, you know what? In Canada, we're just gonna ban...
we banned the Australia episode.
No, I'm thinking of, like, different show, right? It shouldn't always be the Simpsons show. It should be like, we're going to ban the episode of Friends where Ross cheats on Rachel.
That'd be
Those
weird.
are the names, right?
Yeah.
It's just banned in Canada. Why? We don't say. It's banned here.
Yeah, I think
not allowed to watch it.
That would be a lot of fun. I think every nation should do that. I think you're right. Just a weird banning everywhere across the board.
Yeah, Australia, we banned the episode of The Office about chili.
Yeah, exactly. Just fucking Australia.
Why? We're not going to tell you.
Couldn't tell
you. You're not allowed here. Can't have it.
Okay. So, season 3, episode 1 is the one we have to talk about. And you know why we have to talk about this one very briefly.
Yeah, because I didn't know about this until I pulled up the list and saw it and went like, oh, right, that episode. I can see why it's banned.
It's because it stars one never again seen Simpsons character, Leon Kompowski. And the person who plays this character is the king of pop, Michael Jackson. So there's an issue. Because this episode wasn't really banned per se until 2019, when streaming services became like the biggest thing in the world. So this episode was airing often all the way up until 2019, and it eventually went away because of all of the allegations that came across about Michael Jackson, even though he'd been dead since 2008, I believe. Or earlier, there's a lot of pedophilia allegations towards him, sexual conduct allegations, misconduct allegations, I should say, all these things about Michael Jackson, and whether you believe those things or not, and of course I err on the side of believing the victim in these instances, it's still an episode that I think should still air. Even if it, like, I don't want to, say, damn those people who have allegations against this guy, but I don't like the idea of hiding away from history like this.
Yeah, I always liked the approach that Warner Brothers takes with the Looney Tunes, where before the episodes start, they would basically put up messaging that will effectively say, hey, we don't agree with this.
Yeah.
It is but it is representative of the era. We think it has important historical context, etc. Yeah, I think, the one caveat in this case being that, hey, Michael Jackson probably shouldn't, or his estate probably shouldn't, continue to make money from this. I don't know if that would be the case. I have no idea how
I don't think they
guest starring on The Simpsons works. I assume, maybe you get
royalties.
Upfront fee, but I'd be shocked if there were royalties unless you wrote a song or something. Then I could see it.
It depends if he belongs to an acting guild or whatever. So there's that. But if you're a voice actor, you still get even if you're a guest star,
royalties, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would still get royalties. So there's that. But I mean, Michael Jackson didn't need the royalties from this show anyway. So
that's also a part of it. But that's always the one caveat of okay, I think it's fair when you take something down to be hey, this person should not continue to make money off of this thing.
No, he definitely didn't need it. Plus, he didn't deserve it. So here's the thing. I kind of lied in saying that Homer at the Bat is the first foray into a musical. Because this episode, Stark Raving Dad, is the episode that kind of kicks off The Simpsons' musical nature. However, I would not call this one a musical because even though there is a song in this episode, it's not like the other ones that kind of are a big blown out production.
It's not choreographed in the same way.
No, this is in universe. This song happens in a very real context, a very realistic context too. So it's not like it's the other ones where you get people singing and dancing, swinging from chandeliers, and it's a big crazy production. No, this is a simple song where they sneak a piano into Lisa's room and they sing her a happy birthday song. That's it. So technically, this episode starts The Simpsons off on the musical foot. At the same time, it's not the best iteration of them doing musicals. It's a good song. I mean, it's a Michael Jackson song. He wrote it, I believe, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it gets a little strange. The other side of this is that the depiction of mental disability here in this episode maybe a little didn't age too well, but at the same time it's actually not that bad. Homer is clearly misassociated with being insane, and same with Leon Gopowski, who is there on his own free will as kind of a mental check-in health clinic kind of thing. So even though this episode maybe doesn't hit the same strides that we want in a show too these days, it's not as awful as even some current shows who choose to depict mental institutions as these dens of evil, basically. So yeah, Stark Raving Dad, definitely one for the record books.
Yep.
You cannot find it on Disney Plus, which is where The Simpsons is streaming legally now. So I, of course, pirated this episode.
What? How dare you?
I dare. Also get an 8 out of 10. It's not like an amazing episode, but it's solid as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we should move on to season 4 then, which that brings us to the year 1992. Just before we get into it, because I certainly did not know this, because I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. Goddamn, Elizabeth Taylor voiced Maggie Simpson.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a real get for them.
Yeah.
That is wild to me.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Of all the characters to voice, Maggie.
She needs a voice sometimes. And that would be probably the one and only iteration of her being voiced properly. I think there's a couple things later on, but whatever. So, season 4. This begins the golden age of The Simpsons.
Yeah. This is looking at the episode list. All-time classics.
I'm going to point out, though, one thing. This gets a total score that is lower than season 3 just by the fact that there are only 22 episodes in season 4 versus season 3's 24 episodes. Future seasons will get 25 episodes, so numbers are skewed. If I do a final ranking kind of thing, I'll probably bump season 4 up a couple of points just to kind of give it what it deserves. Because season 4 is also when I started writing stuff down vehemently for this show. So, do you want the worst episode first or the best?
Yeah, I think we should always do worse, that we're ending on a good note for the season, right?
All right. Worst episode is Marge Gets a Job.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
So Marge Gets a Job is... Marge Gets a Job is the first real 4 in the golden age. And I thought the worst episode of the season was going to be Camp Krusty, which is actually pretty mediocre when all things considered versus everything else.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But no, this is an easy thing. So just to kind of iterate this one, their house is starting to sink, literally. And Marge realizes what she could do is just get a job, and they need something like $8,000 to basically raise the foundation of their home. So Marge goes, yeah.
Oh my god. I'm trying to figure out, did The Simpsons just comically undersell how much that cost? Or 1992 was only $8,000 to potentially raise a house?
92 prices, yeah.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah. That'd be I don't even know, 50,000 today or something.
Oh, higher, sir. Higher. We're talking mega work.
Oh,
mega
man.
work. I watched the house get raised. It's insane and takes a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So, anyway, Marge gets a job at the nuclear power plant. Huzzah! She's the first woman to ever work there.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Yeah. So there's that. And while she's there, Mr. Burns falls in love with her. And then proceeds to sexually harass her.
Yeah, which...
Yeah.
I don't... How much Mr. Burns has there been up to this point?
A fair bit. Like a good bit of Mr. Burns.
Yeah, because... you say that, and my brain just goes, man, that doesn't sound like Mr. Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Is not going to fall in love with a Marge, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If he's going to fall in love, it's going to be with someone just more eccentric,
He in the later seasons, he falls in love with Abe Simpson's date. So there's that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And somehow they forget that they didn't write this episode yet, but so Abe and Mr. Burns are in the same army regime as each other, the flying hellfish.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
Yeah, and that's season 7 when they detailed that, but they don't mention that at all ever. Anyway, the B plot here is that Bart learns about the boy who cried wolf by the fact that he keeps having illnesses before he takes tests, and therefore gets to not take the tests. And then a wolf actually attacks him. And this is the first iteration of Willie, the groundskeeper Willie, ripping off his shirt and being this giant muscle dude, and yeah. So yeah, it's that one that's good. That's some good stuff, but otherwise, the A plot is so boring and whatever. And this episode, unfortunately, kind of when it first came out, sort of spelled a bit of doom for Marge-centric episodes, which I think are totally unfounded. I think Marge can actually be one of the best characters of The Simpsons, especially in terms of comedy. But this one's just so unfunny. It's not badly written. It's just none of it really lands. It's kind of boring.
It's a shame because it's got Tom Jones in it.
It's got Tom Jones, exactly. Which he plays, which he gives Marge and Homer a free concert at gunpoint. So, yeah. So that's the worst episode. That's a 4 out of 10.
Okay, what's the best episode? 'Cause, boy, I'm looking at this and going,
It's a tie.
I mean, I feel like there's like a pretty clear definitive one for me, but then I look at some of the others and go, oh, actually, maybe not.
Yeah, so there's a tie.
Okay.
And this starts a trend that this show, for me, I find myself at this point giving out some 10s. And this one has 2 10s.
Okay, let's hear them.
So, the first one is Homer's Triple Bypass.
Okay.
And the other one is Last Exit to Springfield.
Okay, so the two I would have had, and so the one that I would choose to talk about, definitely Last Exit to Springfield.
Well,
that
leave that
is
then for you.
clearly an incredible episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, Marge versus the monorail, like.
I think that episode's kind of weak.
Oh, you're insane! It's so good.
I know. But rewatching it, it's like, oh, you know what? This is not as good. So here's the problem. Marge versus the Monorail is just after Homer's Triple Bypass, which I think is one of the funniest episodes of season 4. Hands down, period. No contest. But Marge versus the Monorail has such a great storyline and great characters and that kind of stuff that like it's an 8 out of 10 for me.
I'll also admit, as somebody who quite likes the musical, The Music Man, and the monorail also clearly being influenced by that to some degree.
Yep.
That always taints my view of that episode.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I gotta point out one thing about this season. Now, I started a trend later on in these seasons. So there is a clip show episode in this season. And I gave that clip show episode a 6 out of 10 because it still had it has one of the biggest laughs of the entire season. And it makes Treehouse of Horrors canon. So it does some weird stuff. Basically, there's a scene in this clip show episode in the episode titled "So It's Come to This: A Simpsons Clip Show," 6 out of 10. And the reason why I gave it a 6 instead of what I gave every other clip show episode in this series, which is a 3. If you do a clip show, it's a 3. I don't care. Move on.
That's fair.
But I gave it a 6 out of 10 because this has Bart shake the can of beer so bad it like nuclear explodes a Simpsons house, and it is one of the funniest laughs in this entire season. Okay. So yeah, needed to point that out there about why that did not lose, and Marge Gets the Job did. But in this case, we'll get back to the Last Exit to Springfield.
Yep.
We might mention Marge versus the Monorail because it's a big deal. But Homer's Triple Bypass, which is the one nobody thinks about when they think about the best episodes of Season 4. Which, here's the thing. This one is a fantastic laugh-a-minute episode. And it beautifully echoes the previous season's Dog of Death episode, which I hated, in that this one is about Homer, who has a bad heart. Obviously. And he's having heart palpitations like the entire day. He goes in and get reamed out by Mr. Burns, and it's just like giving it to him, and then he basically drops dead from a heart attack. And is like saved along the way to the hospital. And it turns out like he's got to he needs triple bypass. And Dr. Hibbert, says, we can do the triple bypass. It's going to take $40,000. And this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, to do it for Homer. And he's like, I don't know. So he shops around and finds Dr. Nick. This is the first iteration of...
Oh, that lady ate the baby.
Yeah, this is the first iteration of Dr. Nick.
Hey. Dr. Nick taught me inflammable means flammable.
It's true. He's smart.
I genuinely thought inflammable meant non-combustible until The Simpsons.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I was also a child, so,
Oh, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So in this episode, this is the first iteration of Dr. Nick, and yeah, he offers to do the surgery for $128. And they're like, well, there we go. And I like the fact that I like to point out that they are more than willing to spend $8,000 on Santa's little helper, but Homer needs a heart surgery. Got to shop for a lesser amount.
To be fair, if you're Bart, Santa's little helper has never tried to choke you, so...
This is true. So Dr. Nick's his motto is, "You've tried the best, now try the rest," which is wonderful.
Yep.
This is where the the song "Knee bones connected to the something's connected to the red thing's connected to my wristwatch." This little song comes in, as well as "Bed goes up, bed goes down, cloud goes up, cloud goes down," and like this episode just like keeps hitting joke. And, like I said, laugh a minute, doesn't relent, and like this one left me like literally in stitches on the couch watching this episode. So like it had to get a 10. Like I had like out of all the episodes in this season, which are a lot of them won for fun factor, but Homer's Triple Bypass just hands down left me just like really enjoying my time with it. So 10 out of 10. Let's go on to 10 out of 10 number 2, which is Last Exit to Springfield, which is your pick, right?
No, my pick is that was one of my 10s.
Okay.
So we can talk about it. My pick is Marge versus Monorail.
Okay, let's briefly talk about Last Exit to Springfield, because that's a 10 out of 10 for me too. Here's the thing with this episode. Last Exit to Springfield is probably the most quoted episode of The Simpsons of all time.
Time. I could see that.
Dental plan.
Yep.
The Big Book of British Smiles. Goons. Oh, yeah. Hired goons. First thing tomorrow morning, and a punch Lenny back of the head. It was him. Get him, fellas. I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time. Back in those days, Nichols had bumblebees on him.
Oh, God.
Give me 5 beats for a quarter,
episode?
I'd say. Yes.
Wow.
Then a classical gas. Crush, kill, destroy. And then there's the little ditty that Lisa's singing, "So march day and night, so march day and night
by the big cooling
tower.
They have the plan, but we have the power."
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's a solid episode. That's for sure.
That one's just the cultural relevance of this episode. Spiked it.
Unfortunately, even more relevant now than when it came out.
Yes. Yeah. Basically, this one, of course, they go on strike in Last Exit to Springfield. But, like, nowadays, it's even, like I said, it is a lot more relevant now because of how often we hear about strikes and people striking and all this stuff. And, like, you know what? Yeah. It's this episode is a harbinger of the future to come. And yeah, fair enough.
Okay, maybe in 2024, no matter who you are, you shouldn't have to worry that you'll have messed up teeth and jaw.
Yep.
Because it really shouldn't be that difficult to just provide full dental care to everyone who needs it.
I mean, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but here in Nova Scotia, pretty much if you find a job that is not offering a full suite of like healthcare benefits, don't take that job. You just don't take that job. Because like even if it's paying pretty well, it's like, oh yeah, we can definitely, yeah, we can pay like $25 an hour or something like that, or whatever. But no dental plan, no health care, whatever. And it's it's not worth it.
It's a hey, if you're young and healthy, maybe the job is worth it. But if you do happen to have a need for any dental care, whew, we better save up for it.
Too friggin' bad. Yeah, exactly. Or have a partner who works with a job that can get that stuff. Whatever.
Also that, yeah, that's true.
All right, so Marge versus the Monorail. The probably what's regarded as the biggest episode of Simpsons of all time.
Yeah,
not the highest
I
rated,
definitely would put it probably top 3 iconic episodes. I mean, everyone knows the Monorail song.
Monorail!
Monorail!
Yeah.
Monorail! What? God, was it that Homer says again? It's
dope.
the mono... Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, the episode is literally just, hey, what if the Music Man, but it's a monorail, but also not the Music Man, because actually it is just a scam and there's no happy ending at the end of it.
No,
I also will say
Phil Hartman in this, just like they give this episode to Phil Hartman and you just tell him to go off the rails, literally. So yeah,
hell of an actor.
Hell yeah.
The one thing I will say,
yeah,
there is an argument to be made. This episode perhaps did some substantial damage to the public perception of public transportation, and
maybe a little bit.
It being not worth the spend in money. I don't know what age it would cut off at, but I would guess anybody 25 or older at the minimum. You say the word monorail to them, and their immediate knee-jerk reaction is going to be like, oh, scam, bad use of money.
Yeah.
Instead of like, hey, actually, loads of cities have monorails, and they're fantastic and worth every penny that you spend on them.
Subway systems, I'll point out this episode also has, despite also having the monorail song, this episode has one other song which is actually a little important too, and that's the Homer Simpson. He's the greatest guy in history song. Yeah, the Flintstones parody, which is like good stuff.
It's such an iconic episode, and for good reason. It's a fun episode. It's a good dumb premise. I actually don't think it is my favorite. I do think my favorite is Last Exit to Springfield. But,
that's fair. Yeah.
I think you have to talk about this episode.
You have to. Yeah.
It's on the list.
Yeah. It's by far the one that like everybody wants to discuss. And again, like season 4 is also the ones that like I said, I started making more notes for episodes in this season because this one also has like a streetcar named Marge.
This is the season. We haven't even talked about it yet.
Yeah.
Another, I wouldn't put it like top 3, but iconic episode.
Yeah.
Mr. Plow is in this.
Mr. Plow.
And we haven't had room for it because that's how loaded this season is.
Yeah. Also, I think that a streetcar named Marge, the stuff with Maggie and the daycare, I think that had like a huge influence on the Recess cartoon. Just FYI, like a really big one. But obviously, the Recess is based on like Hogan's Heroes, but so is this segment. So, but yeah. So let's see, just quickly some of these notes. One of the best voice acting stories of all time comes from Krusty Gets Canceled, the last episode of this season. Just quickly, because so that's the Gabbo episode where Gabbo comes down, and Krusty makes a comeback special, and he invites the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Do you know the story? It's in the commentary tracks of the episode.
No,
it's amazing.
I definitely don't.
So the Red Hot Chili Peppers are guest stars on this episode.
Yeah.
And the awesome thing of this is that, like, so, of course, there's only a certain amount of space in the recording booth. And there's an end credit scene where the Peppers show up at Moe's Tavern. And they all go like, oh, hey, Mo, hey, Mo, hey, Mo. And, like, they just are saying, hey, Mo. And Flea, for the Peppers, during Anthony Kiedis' take on saying, hey, Mo, yelled from outside of the booth. The soundproof section of all this screamed "Hey-mo" so loud you could hear it. And so they left that in. So he walks into Moe's tavern and screams this, and they had to like tone it down so he couldn't spike the. Yeah. Ah. What an amazing thing. So this is also like this season. By the way, this is the cultural importance of this season. Besides monorail, this is the very first iteration ever of the current usage of the word yoink.
Huh.
Yeah, it used to mean to bounce, and now it means to gleefully steal.
Yeah, interesting.
Because of The Simpsons.
Would not have known. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's one episode that I just want. What are your notes on Whacking Day?
I don't really have a lot of notes on that one, actually. That one's all right.
Okay.
It's a good...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually would rank that one kind of low, is where I would have put it.
I gave it an 8 because it's fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That episode's just never spoken to me.
Yeah, that's fair. It's whatever. It's kind of like a low 8 for me, to be honest. But like, it's got the good Barry White cameo, and there's some good stuff there. Decent jokes. It doesn't hit as hard as like Marge versus the Monorail for sure. Like, obviously. But there's some good stuff here or there in that episode. So
Yeah.
Oh, also, Trees of Horror is actually in this season, which is Trees of Horror number 3. So it's not Daryl. It's Ken Griffey. No. In the previous season, in Homer the Bat, one of the baseball stars gets lost in the bottomless pit, and the bottomless pit actually comes back up in this season during the Trees of Horrors episode. Also in this season, this may be the first iteration of Smithers being considered gay. So, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I guess there wouldn't... Yeah. That's a hell of a season.
Hell of a season. Season 4 is really good, I gotta say.
Really one of the best in television.
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait till we get to season 5 and 6, but because season 4 is the beginning of the golden years of The Simpsons. And just to kind of tease it out, it only goes up from here. If we're saying the cultural relevance of season 4 is big, because of Marge versus the Monorail, the last exit to Springfield, and like Yoink and all this stuff, seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8 are mind-blowingly important, just to our like lexicon of things as North Americans. So yeah, we will get there next time.
All right. Well, so anything else you want to say, or just wrap it up?
Before we go, season 4, I got a 7.0. Like I said, even though it's lower, that's a lower score than season 3. Season 3 got a 7.22. There are more episodes in season 3 than season 4. Like I said,
yeah,
I will need
skewing
to.
It.
Yeah. When you do the math, it just kind of like makes it weird. I might toss it a bone when I do the official rankings. Anyway, that's all I have for The Simpsons. I think this keeps on being an awesome time until probably about season 15.
We'll get there someday, but for now, why don't you tell people where to find us?
Cool. You should definitely go to our Twitter page, which is at EIFNIR. Go there and tell us how much you love The Simpsons season 3 and 4. There's some good stuff there. I would love to hear your takes. Let me know how wrong I was about what I should have ranked Marge versus the Monorail, because obviously it should be higher, or obviously it should be lower. I don't know. I think it's a solid 8 with like a good X factor.
William Shatner's just going to shout at you. I was in that episode, so it has to be a 10 out of 10.
No, no Shatner, no. Hey,
I could still play young Kirk. Put me in, Coach. I can lead a movie.
No, don't let him do it. I think we also had Leonard Nimoy in that episode.
Yeah, but he's dead, so he can't yell at you.
True. Leonard Nimoy actually shows up in later on as well in season 8.
Weird. All right.
Yeah. But as a cameo as Leonard Nimoy, so. Actually, he's in as Leonard Nimoy in Mars vs. the Monorail anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep forgetting that he's not the weird scientist she picks up in, like, North Haverbrook.
Yeah.
She goes to. I can't remember which one she goes to. But yeah. Ogdenville also comes up in other episodes of The Simpsons, by the way. Ogdenville.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Anyway, you should also you should go and share our show with your friends. Go to our Spotify and iTunes pages and that stuff for the audio version. If you're on YouTube, do the funky stuff with the buttons. I don't know if they're over here. Maybe I don't know where it's at. Tell YouTube to smarten up with the ad blocker stuff. Tell them Tristan sent you.
I don't think you want to make YouTube angry.
Or do I?
I think they probably have hit squads.
Probably have hit squads, yeah. But you know, Viva la Revolution and all that stuff. So, you know, anyway, you also go to our friends at DJDing.com. That's the guy that does our music, DJDing.com. Go there, listen to his great tunes, and just give him, you know, enough money to perhaps go and buy a monorail.
Where's he gonna put it?
Yeah, somewhere. Illegally install it within the town he lives in, I guess.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, why not?
Just have it pop up overnight. What the fuck? Oh my god.
Ooh, be impressive.
That would be very impressive. A lot of infrastructure. Although the monorail is pretty shoddily built, so like it could just...
Yeah, they probably could, yeah.
It looks like it's made of paper mache, so like, you know. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for another Ira episode of Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
You are correct. You